right, well, it's 6 p.m. And it's November 1, 2023. And this is a special meeting of the Laurel Ethics Commission. Could we please have a roll call as to who's here?
Okay, Chair Hester,
Present.
Vice Chair Bardwell,
Present.
Commissioner Drake,
Present.
Commissioner Skaggs,
Present.
Commissioner Lubanecki,
Present.
alternate Crook.
Present.
Okay, everyone's here. We have a full house.
Excellent. Great to see everybody. Thank you for making time for this special meeting. As we mentioned at our last meeting, we had been waiting for a response. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just back up 1 minute. We have a draft agenda in front of us. The draft agenda, I just wanted to make sure that everybody has a copy of that. And if anybody would like to request any edits or modifications, we can change it as we go along as needed. Mutatis mutandum, but it's let's just go ahead and get started with it as it is, unless anybody would like to make a correction right now. Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion.
So move.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
Excellent.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion passes. We don't have the meetings, the minutes for our last meeting in front of us. At least I don't think we do.
Don't we, wasn't that, no, wasn't that the 19th?
Yes,
Yes, we have minutes.
Oh, okay.
Laura, you sent around minutes, right? Yes, that was in the packet, yes.
yes,
Okay.
and I can bring it up, but I'm having some problems with my laptop. I have to bring in and get that fixed, but I can bring it up.
All right, well, if anybody would like to just go ahead right now. I mean, I had a small disadvantage in that I did not see them, but they're always so well done. It's usually just a minor correction or something each time. Would anybody like to make any edits or additions or corrections to the minutes? Would anybody like to make a motion to adopt the minutes as written?
I make a motion, we adopt the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And I'll abstain because I've not read them, but that's all right. So the motion passes, the minutes are adopted. The next item is the discussion to follow up on the Commission's letter of September 13th to Councilman Mitchell regarding possible ethics violations. I understand, well, at our last meeting, Councilman Mitchell asked for an extension of time to get a written response in. We granted him until last Monday.
And
And
is, excuse me, we do have an
Join the
iPhone.
meeting.
All right, Councilman Mitchell, are you at the meeting?
I'm present.
Okay,
Okay. Councilman Mitchell did get the his written response in by the close of business on the Monday, and his response has now been shared around with all of the commission staff and commissioners. And I thank very much Councilman Mitchell for putting so much detail into his response to explain his perspective. That is a helpful letter back to us. So I guess the next question is, how do we want to proceed? We can proceed in one of two ways. We can begin a preliminary discussion at this point, but I think it might be better if we consider the option of going into executive session, because this is a matter of sensitivity and nothing has been decided or determined, and we want to protect everybody's reputation by not having things go out into a public session and go out in the public minutes and notes that anybody can read before any decisions or anything at all can be decided. And we also have that in our procedures, the rules of procedures for the Ethics Commission. In such a case, we are supposed to be having any discussions of personnel issues, legal aspects, without any decision making of any kind, but just discussions within the commission, and have those done within executive session. So those are the two choices we have at this time. And when we come back out of executive session, we may or may not have anything on the table to decide. We'll see. But there, as I say, there will be no decisions during the executive session. It's strictly discussion with our attorney and amongst ourselves to look at the situation before us to decide how we may or may not want to proceed.
Mr. Chairman, just a question, just because I'm less familiar with this. At the executive session, Mr. Mitchell would not be present, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that if there's any questions that arise when we're having that executive session, he would not be able to address them. Is that correct?
You would be able to address them after we come out of executive session, but we're not going to be making any decisions in executive session. We're simply going to be discussing primarily matters of law with our attorney. Is there any other discussion? Would our attorney, Counselor Whitley, have any comment at this time about whether or not going into executive session is appropriate?
It's definitely appropriate if you're asking for legal advice, and I also believe it's appropriate for discussion as to protect the reputation of the council member before any decisions are made.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And if there are any questions, we can come out of executive session if we have any questions for the councilman as well.
Right. Okay, our primary purpose of the executive session is to discuss the situation with regard to the matter that was brought before us by the mayor of the city of Laurel. And this is focusing at this point only on Councilman Mitchell, even though there was a second person involved, although that second person apparently was not being identified as a person who may or may not have undertaken anything that would need to have the ethics ordinance considered.
Mr. Chair, may I also suggest that they're if everyone's read Councilmember Mitchell's response, if there's some questions of him before we go into executive session, if that would be fruitful.
That's a good question. Does anybody have anything that may like to ask of Councilman Mitchell at this time? I had one question in that it was not entirely clear to me, but it seems to be the case, but I want to just have a clarification. Councilman Mitchell, were you saying that you felt that you were not violating either of these two or sections of the ordinance with regard to our, excuse me one second, I have this piece of paper here.
Abuse of power.
Abuse of power under section K, or use of prestige of office under section E. Were you saying that you felt that that you had not or potentially violated either one of those, or were you saying that perhaps you might have been a little enthusiastic and perhaps maybe went half a step further than you might have wanted to otherwise?
I think saying that I wasn't out of line. Better synopsis.
All right. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to enter executive session at this time?
A motion to enter executive session.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please? Ms.
Sorry about
Miskowski?
that. Chair Hester, would you like to go into executive session?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bardwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lubanecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Skaggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Drake,
Yes.
alternate Cook.
Yes.
Okay, then I will pause the.
Went into, the Laurel Ethics Commission went into executive discussion, executive session to discuss a matter of personnel interests and a matter of legal questions that we needed to ask our commission attorney, Counselor Whitley. And we are now back into executive session. This is an open session. And as I mentioned before, we were not making any decisions of it. We were not making any decisions in an executive session. To the extent any decisions are going to be made, it's going to be here in the open session. Excuse me. So let's see, I guess maybe Vice Chair Bardwell had some thoughts as to some possible ways that we may want to consider deciding on proceeding. And perhaps she would like to lay those out because she was the one who came up with them in the executive session.
So Vice Chair Barwell, I would follow the advice of the advisor, council's advice and regarding how to proceed going forward. And he referenced a letter that spells out the commission's view on the actions taken by Councilman Mitchell. So I would defer to Mr. Whitley to follow up on what was the outcome of our discussion.
All right, again, we did not make decisions. We were simply talking about aspects of the case before us.
Is there a motion that the board would entertain going forward?
Well, I think Vice Chair Bardwell was asking if you had anything you wanted to add to what she said.
I think the letter spoke clearly. No matter how the board decides this situation, we are troubled by the councilman's actions. And if the board decides to vote to move forward, if the board decides to vote not to move forward, we would just advise the councilman to be more careful in your interactions with the public and your statements going forward. Because again, no matter how this is decided, the board is troubled by the statements and some of the inferences that could have been drawn by the statements. And as a representative of the city of Laurel, we would just ask that you choose your words more carefully going forward.
Very good. So do we have a motion to make as to how we want to decide on how to proceed?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we, and Council Whitley helped me with the language a little bit, that we decide that incorporating Council Whitley's comments, that at this time, the commission does not proceed.
That's correct. You move not to move forward with any further actions on the complaint.
Those words exactly.
Excellent. All right, motion as amended. Is there a second?
I second.
Very good. Is there discussion? Well, just as the chair, I wanted to reiterate our council's words as to how important ethics are to everyone in the city, and that we value every single citizen and every single landowner equally, and that when we, as representatives of the city, approach people that we do so in an even-handed and trying to be helpful to everybody equally as we go forward, to try and be very careful about just the sensitivity of the ethics ordinance requirements and what they place on every single person in the city, from everyone from the mayor to the city council members to the board and commission members to the regular employees, the police department, everybody in the entire city. That it really is important. That it really is important to do this in a proper way and not just
Join the meeting.
and not just try and do it, according to the letter of the law, but according to the spirit of the law as well, so that it's not even ever a question from anybody as to anybody's compliance with the ethics ordinance. Is there any other discussion? All right, let's have a vote on the motion as it stands. Ms. Christopoulos? Ms. Christopoulos?
Yes. Chair Hester?
Yes.
Okay, Vice Chair Bardwell,
Yes.
alternate Crook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lubinecki,
Yes,
Commissioner Drake. Commissioner Drake, I believe you're muted.
Yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Skaggs.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. That takes care of this particular item that's before us this time. So the next item on the agenda is a general public hearing. This is an opportunity for anybody in the audience who would like to speak to the Ethics Commission. Please signal and let us know, and we would welcome anything anyone has to say. If you're muted, be sure to unmute. Hearing no comments from anybody in the audience, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is other business. Do our staff have anything they would like to bring up as other business?
I don't believe so. If Administrator Pulley, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do not.
All right. Let's just, when is our next regular meeting? So we can just all have that on record right now. Our next regular quarterly meeting.
As of right now, we do not have one scheduled. We will have to discuss internally and go from there.
Okay. All right, if you could let us know as soon as possible when that is, so everybody can have it on their calendars and arrange their schedules, especially as the as we move forward here with the holiday seasons upon us. We had a wonderful holiday season yesterday. I had almost 75 kids at my house, and I was so happy to see so many young people, and they were.
I will beat you there. I had 270.
Oh my goodness.
Prince
Well,
George and Montgomery Streets just blow it out of the water on Halloween. More
wow,
than 100 more than I've ever had.
wow, you're really blessed. I mean, I thought I was doing really well in Laurel Lakes. But it's so wonderful to see our young people in our city out and enjoying themselves, foraging for candy. All right, so is there a, let's see, okay, is there a motion for adjournment?
I motion to adjourn.
I
Is there a
second.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening.
Good
Bye.
night.
Happy
Bye,
Thanksgiving.
everybody. Thank you. Have a
Happy
good one.
Thanksgiving. Bye.